Here was a guy that was doing things with the Fender Stratocaster guitar that was turning it inside out in ways the inventors never even imagined. He would set about doing things with that guitar that were just otherworldly.
Few guitarists changed rock music like Jimi Hendrix, but what happened when a young Billy Gibbons was invited into his world? Long before becoming a legend himself, Billy found himself sharing the stage with the guitarist who was redefining what was possible. Their brief connection left a lasting impact, filled with unexpected moments, mutual respect, and unforgettable lessons. So what did Hendrix see in the young Texas guitarist, and why does Billy still remember those days so vividly? Breaking the silence after death. Billy Gibbons' decision to speak openly about his friendship with Jimi Hendrix just after Hendrix's death kinda showed a real respect and also some very careful judgment. He had for years kept a bunch of their shared moments private, like he genuinely thought Hendrix's legacy needed protection more than, extra attention. Then, when he finally chose to tell those memories, it seemed to come from pure admiration, so his own stories could stay there to honor Hendrix rather than accidentally taking over the spotlight. Looking back after Hendrix's passing, it kinda gave Billy a clearer view on how much their friendship had actually shaped both of them: distance and time. They let him slow down and think about the lessons he picked up, the musical breakthroughs he saw, and the ongoing influence Hendrix had on his day-to-day life. His recollections started to feel like more than just personal stuff, like valuable pieces of rock history. Billy also noticed how sensitive people can be about Hendrix's legacy. Around all those decades of myths and speculation, Hendrix's life has often been hard to untangle from legend. He waited until the moment seemed right, and then he could share an authentic first-hand perspective that adds depth instead of just pouring gasoline on more questions. His stories show Hendrix as more than a legendary guitarist. They bring out this thoughtful side, sometimes even quiet, and somehow his creativity reshaped music for good. These little personal moments are reminders for fans that behind every icon, there's a real human being, with friendships, struggles, and weirdly unforgettable experiences. For Billy, sharing these memories is also a kind of gratitude. The time he spent with Hendrix, it nudged his career and personal growth in ways that still echo today. And by holding on to those experiences, he helps keep Hendrix's spirit around, not just for the old heads, but for new generations of musicians and fans meeting Jimi Hendrix's gaze. Billy Gibbons' first encounter with Jimi Hendrix was more than a meeting of musicians. It was an electric moment charged with mystery and raw potential. At just 18, Billy and his band, the Moving Sidewalks, were abruptly drawn into Hendrix's orbit, though the exact circumstances that led to this invitation remained something of a puzzle even to him. What's clear is that their discovery of Hendrix's music came as a revelation, a sound unlike anything they had heard before, a guitar mastery that turned everything upside down. It was an invitation to step into a world where the guitar was not just an instrument, but a limitless force of expression. From the start, Billy sensed something otherworldly about Hendrix's approach. The legendary guitarist wasn't merely playing notes. He was inventing a new language. The style was revolutionary, pushing the Fender Stratocaster beyond its known possibilities, challenging even the expectations of the instrument's creators. Yet, despite the formidable reputation that preceded him, Hendrix's presence offstage was surprisingly reserved, hiding the dazzling firepower that would erupt when the lights came on. This contrast only deepened the allure surrounding him. Billy's early impression was shaped not just by Hendrix's technical genius, but by his aura, the silent confidence, the quiet intensity waiting beneath the surface. It was clear they were dealing with someone who lived in a different realm of creativity, someone shaping the future of rock music in real time. Although young and relatively unknown, Billy felt an immediate kinship. sensing that this partnership could change everything for him and his band. Still, the full depth of Hendrix's influence and the precise nature of their friendship remained to be revealed. There was a mysterious quality to how the Moving Sidewalks came to join the Hendrix Experience tour. The details were vague, wrapped in an almost magical spontaneity that left Billy reflecting on fate and opportunity. They jumped in with both feet, sensing the chance of a lifetime without fully understanding where it might lead. This leap into Hendrix's world was, in many ways, the beginning of a transformation for Billy. A transformation that would shape his musical identity forever. Even with their sudden inclusion in Hendrix's inner circle, there was much that Billy didn't yet grasp about the man himself. Behind the scenes, Hendrix was shy, almost introverted, a stark contrast to the blazing figure who seized every stage with unmatched energy. Billy would later learn that this quiet nature was part of Hendrix's complexity, a man who carried his genius with humility and a hint of solitude. This dichotomy made their interactions all the more intriguing. The mysterious invitation and the whirlwind that followed offered Billy an unfiltered glimpse into Hendrix's world. Not just the music, but the personality, the ethos, and the impact he wielded. It was a private chapter in rock history, seldom discussed, cloaked in the kind of reverence and respect that only comes with time. The silence surrounding their friendship now seems ready to break, offering fans a rare and vivid portrait of a young musician caught in the bright glare of a legend. The anticipation around this encounter hints that the stories Billy holds might forever change how we see Hendrix's legacy. But for now, the story lingers on the edge of revelation, teasing a deeper understanding without fully unfolding. The link between a rising Texan guitarist and a revolutionary artist from Seattle remains a compelling mystery, one that invites us to listen closely as the narrative unfolds. Hendrix's shadow was long and complex, and Billy was only beginning to feel its weight. What lies beneath the surface of this enigmatic meeting will soon become clearer, but it's important to savor that initial spark, the moment when two generations of rock collided and set the stage for something historic. The Moving Sidewalks' journey toward Hendrix reflects a larger truth about music. Sometimes, the most profound influences come unexpectedly, transforming careers in ways no one can predict. This is just the beginning of that transformation. As the story starts to take shape, it becomes impossible to imagine how it would have felt to be at the center of such a moment, standing beside Hendrix, unsure of where it might all lead. The mystery of their meeting sets a powerful tone, one of respect, curiosity, and the dawning of a musical revolution that would soon become impossible to ignore. The Moving Sidewalks' Big Leap. The Moving Sidewalks hadn't been on the scene very long when they somehow ended up staring at this extraordinary chance, thanks to Jimi Hendrix. Billy Gibbons' band was tied to the lively Texas music loop, still shaping their sound and figuring out who they were. But their run-in with Hendrix's debut record lit something up, immediate and kind of deep, pushing them to step past their local reputation, like all at once. Hendrix's guitar playing wasn't merely impressive, it was transformative. It shifted how guitarists thought about tone, technique, and even the whole realm of possibility. For Billy and his bandmates, Hendrix was kind of an unknown thing when they first ran into his music. They had only heard his recorded stuff, and it just didn't match anything on the charts or even on the airwaves. That whole sonic revelation pulled them in fast, like they were getting sucked into the orbit of a guy who was basically reworking electric guitar playing, but in a way that felt new. The choice to join Hendrix's tour wasn't only a career step, it was more like a dive straight into the center of a seismic shift in rock and roll. What pushed them into that leap wasn't some clean little blueprint. It was more instinct, a gut reaction to the charge coming off Hendrix's sound. Billy talks about it as jumping in with both feet, like it was faith you can feel in your chest, thrilling and also scary. Going from a regional act to backing one of the greatest guitarists alive happened pretty much all at once. It was disorienting, yes, but it also carried this heavy promise. It became a real turning point, not just for the moving sidewalks, but for Billy's whole musical direction too. Getting picked to tour with Hendrix had its own strange mystique. Nobody really gave a solid explanation about why the moving sidewalks were chosen, and that messy lack of clarity made everything feel even more exciting, and also uncertain. Billy remembers it as a mystery that only later made more sense, once their time on the road started showing what Hendrix's artistry could do to a band. That unpredictability is what stuck with them, because it highlighted how much of their early career was formed by serendipity and raw ability, rather than careful planning or anything that looked rehearsed. As they hit the road, Billy quickly found out that being part of Hendrix's entourage meant you were always sort of watching a master do his thing, every single night. The shows weren't just regular rock concerts, no. They were something that went past the usual kind of expectations, like the whole thing just floated into a different realm. Hendrix's guitar, well, it exploded with invention, bending sound and anticipation at the same time. For a young band from Texas, it felt like a real schooling, and also some kind of initiation into a bigger level of musicianship and showmanship. Touring with Hendrix also put the band right where the broader cultural changes were happening in music during the late 1960s. Hendrix was basically leading a movement that mixed things up, blurred genres, and pushed boundaries like it was natural. He brought together blues and rock, and that psychedelic shimmer too, with an unshakable kind of courage. The moving sidewalks ended up caught in the whole swirl, growing as Hendrix's climb got faster and faster, and learning up close what it actually means to be pioneers, not just claim it. For Billy, this was transformative in a personal way as well. He wasn't only standing there watching Hendrix on stage, he was soaking up new notions about guitar style, how to perform, and that kind of artistic boldness people talk about, but don't always manage. The moving sidewalks started to see their own range widening, as they adjusted to the raw intensity and the inventive edge of Hendrix's world. In that place, limits got smashed, and musical possibilities started to feel endless. This jump into the unknown would soon reveal even more about the man behind the Stratocaster and the legacy he was crafting. Hendrix's guitar innovations. Jimi Hendrix didn't just play the Fender Stratocaster, he reinvented it. Billy Gibbons and his band quickly realized that Hendrix was manipulating the guitar in ways the original inventors never imagined. His technique transcended traditional playing, turning the instrument inside out with a creative genius that sounded like it came from another dimension. This radical approach to guitar sound became a defining feature of the late 1960s and inspired countless musicians, including Billy himself. What made Hendrix's playing so groundbreaking was his fearless experimentation. He blended feedback, distortion, wah-wah effects, and unorthodox fingerings to create sounds that conveyed emotion ranging from searing aggression to soulful tenderness. Hendrix's mastery of his tools produced an audio palette so rich and diverse that it set a new standard for what a guitar could express. Billy saw this firsthand and knew it would influence him forever. Billy often describes Hendrix's playing as otherworldly, a performance that was difficult to unpack because it went beyond technique into raw feeling and invention. Watching Hendrix made Billy rethink his own relationship with the guitar, pushing him to explore new sounds and textures. The moving sidewalks were already rooted in rhythm and blues, but Hendrix's innovations expanded their horizons into psychedelic rock and experimental territory. One key to Hendrix's innovation was his deep understanding of his gear, from amplifiers to pedals. He treated every piece of equipment as an extension of himself, capable of producing limitless sonic possibilities. This intuitive command over technology helped him craft performances where the guitar wasn't just heard, but felt on a visceral level. Billy recognized that this mastery was part of what made Hendrix's performances so unforgettable. Hendrix's ability to sculpt sound was matched by his showmanship and stage presence. His guitar wasn't just an instrument, but a storytelling tool, capable of leading an audience through waves of emotion and intensity. The way he could go from delicate riffs to explosive solos within the same song kept spectators on edge, never knowing what to expect. For Billy, witnessing this was both inspiring and educational. In addition to pioneering technical effects, Hendrix brought in influences that fused blues origins with rock's evolving vocabulary. His incorporation of bends, slides, and vibrato transformed blues guitar into a psychedelic experience, creating a bridge between roots music and avant-garde expression. This melding of styles would become central to Billy's own musical approach in the years ahead. Billy's growing admiration for Hendrix's innovations didn't stop at the technical. It extended to the boldness with which Hendrix challenged norms. Hendrix's playing demanded attention, not only because of its sound, but because it broke established boundaries of what the guitar could do. This pushed Billy to rethink his own playing style and encouraged him to embrace creativity without limits. The energy between two musical worlds naturally began to evolve as Billy studied Hendrix's innovations more closely. Offstage, shyness; onstage, brilliance. Jimi Hendrix was known for his wild, electrifying stage presence, yet offstage, he carried a quietness that few expected. Billy Gibbons describes Hendrix as a bit shy when the lights were off, a private individual who didn't seek the spotlight except when his music called for it. This duality only heightened the fascination those around him felt, revealing a man who channeled his energy into the guitar rather than constant social engagement. Behind the scenes, Hendrix could be reserved, measuring his words carefully and revealing a thoughtful personality beneath the star power. This contrast was striking for Billy and his bandmates, who witnessed firsthand how Hendrix transformed as soon as the stage lights came up. When performing, Hendrix glowed with intensity, almost becoming another person entirely. The quietness melted away, replaced by an explosive creativity that left audiences breathless. Billy recalls that Hendrix's playing wasn't just technical mastery, it was a performance fraught with emotion and authenticity that captivated all who watched. It wasn't just some persona shift, it was also a kind of deeper tether to his music that Hendrix kept, kind of rooted there. Offstage, he sort of conserved his energy and kept a low profile too, so he could focus on the work, not all the spectacle. Then, when it was performance time, every note seemed to land with real feeling and clean control. Billy took it as an essential balance, the thing that powered Hendrix's legendary nights and held on to his artistic integrity all the way through. In quieter moments, Hendrix could be reflective, even a little exposed at times, and Billy came to see that in a way that mattered while they were together. That reserved vibe made the man behind the myth feel more human, and honestly, it made their friendship feel that much more meaningful. It also became obvious that Hendrix's brilliance was matched by a humility you don't really see often, especially not from rock icons at his kind of height. These personal glimpses, they filled out Billy's admiration for him, like you could feel the reverence more clearly. Billy also noticed that Hendrix's shy tendency didn't shrink his confidence. It actually helped shape it. The quieter temperament would flip into explosive ideas once he stepped on stage, and the contrast was sharp. That made Hendrix harder to predict, and somehow even more captivating because of it. That uncertainty was part of what made each show stand out. Billy said it was like watching a man translate himself straight through the guitar, no words required. Their experiences together showed, in a way that kinda stuck, how Hendrix was dealing with the rush and pressures of sudden fame. The stage for him was both refuge and battleground, like he could go there, and let out emotions that a more quiet type of person might just keep locked up. Billy saw that Hendrix's onstage glow wasn't only style or some showy artistic choice. It was also a real outlet, a kind of necessary vent that helped him connect hard with audiences. That same shy brilliance carried over to how Hendrix talked and moved around other musicians, including Billy. Off-stage conversations were usually low-key and careful, like they'd circle around music and ideas, not ego or spectacle. Hendrix had that humility thing going, and it made it easier for Billy and the moving sidewalks to actually relate to him. In the end, it felt like real camaraderie, built on mutual respect and the same kind of shared passion. The friendship they formed went beyond technique and performance, blossoming from shared understanding and respect that transcended music alone, forming a bond beyond music. Billy Gibbons and Jimi Hendrix forged more than a professional connection during their time on tour. They developed a genuine friendship grounded in mutual respect and shared creative curiosity. Despite Hendrix's towering reputation, Billy recalls how approachable and sincere Hendrix could be in quieter moments, a trait that helped form a bond between the two young musicians. This relationship wasn't just about jamming or technical exchange, it was about understanding each other's journeys and aspirations. Their friendship was marked by long conversations about guitar techniques, songwriting, and the music industry's challenges. Billy remembers nights spent peeling back layers of innovation, sharing ideas, discussing styles, and learning from one another. Hendrix valued Billy's insights as much as Billy admired Hendrix's groundbreaking artistry. This reciprocal exchange laid the foundation for a lasting personal connection. Billy also appreciated Hendrix's willingness to be vulnerable and honest about his own struggles and inspirations. Hendrix's shyness off stage often gave way to deeply candid talks, revealing a man who was both a visionary and someone who grappled with the pressures of fame. These candid moments allowed Billy to see beyond the legend and recognize the person beneath, adding depth to their friendship. As they toured together, the camaraderie extended into daily life on the road. Behind the scenes, shared meals, downtime conversations, and the common pressures of performance created an environment where trust could flourish. Billy recalls that Hendrix, despite his celebrity, was down to earth and interested in genuine human connection rather than surface-level interactions. This approach meant their friendship was solidly based on authenticity. Their bond was not without its complexities. The whirlwind pace of touring and the demands of Hendrix's career sometimes created distance. Yet, Billy's memories emphasize how their connection endured through these challenges. The friendship offered both musicians a grounding force amid the chaos of rock stardom, a reminder of their shared roots and ideals. Billy also highlights how Hendrix's influence extended far beyond music. It shaped how he viewed life and art. Watching Hendrix navigate success with humility and relentless creativity inspired Billy to carve a path that balanced showmanship with genuine expression. This mentorship aspect of their friendship enriched Billy's own approach to his craft and career. While Billy was still rising in his own right, their friendship gave him access to a world that few young musicians experienced, a glimpse of greatness tempered by humanity. Hendrix's belief in Billy and the moving sidewalks offered encouragement and confidence, helping them find their voice amid a competitive music scene. Their interactions showed that genuine respect and support among artists can powerfully impact careers. Their bond, forged in music and mutual respect, would deeply influence the legacy Billy would carry forward. The legacy of the experience. Playing alongside Jimi Hendrix left this huge, indelible mark on Billy Gibbons' musical journey, kind of shaping his career in ways he probably didn't expect. Hendrix's fearless approach to the guitar and his commitment to authenticity, it really showed Billy a different path, one where innovation and personal identity mattered more than old rules. And it wasn't only, here's a technique, now do it right type of thing. It felt more like an awakening, to all the creative openings music can offer once you stop holding it back. Billy took those lessons with him, deeply, carrying them into what came next with ZZ Top, and even further than that. One of the clearest legacies Hendrix left behind was the kind of example that makes you learn how to be an artist without fear of upsetting the usual patterns. Billy saw up close how Hendrix went for boldness, not just in the sound, but in the way he showed up too, refusing to be boxed in as if he belonged to one fixed category. That pushed Billy to think bigger about his own role as a guitarist, encouraging experimentation, mixing sound and style so blues and rock kept colliding, and moving past what people considered normal. The boundaries Hendrix shattered kind of became starting points for Billy, not real limits, not even close. Hendrix's one-of-kind ability to mix technical skill with raw emotion also kinda clicked with Billy's own still-growing style. Hendrix didn't just show off that he could handle his instrument, it felt like he was talking through it, deeply and kind of visceral, That whole mix of careful precision and fierce passion made Billy want to chase the same kind of emotional gravity in his own performances. When Billy watched Hendrix reach out to crowds on such a serious level, it basically taught him that technical ability alone isn't enough. It has to feed something bigger, like an artistic purpose. And then, the time spent touring with Hendrix really dragged Billy into the real deal of life as a professional musician, at the highest level. Hendrix's relentless work ethic, plus his restless creativity, put a template in front of Billy for what commitment and professionalism actually looked like. Billy saw how Hendrix juggled live shows, studio sessions, and this never-ending need to reinvent himself. It raised the bar hard for what it meant to keep going in music when the schedule and pressure don't really let up. That perspective stuck, and it shaped how Billy later approached his own goals and struggles moving forward. Also, outside of the music itself, the whole experience gave Billy a broader idea of what it meant to belong to a cultural moment. Hendrix wasn't only a guitarist, he was more like a sign of a restless generation hunting for new ways to express things and push for social change. Billy ended up right in the middle of that seismic shift, absorbing its momentum and spirit, the stuff that would keep influencing rock music for decades. That immersion, it changed how Billy thought about the artist's role in society and the personal responsibility that comes with it. Billy also gives Hendrix credit for teaching him, the real worth of humility, even when you're at, your peak. Hendrix seemed kinda shy off stage, and he really put his attention into the music instead of the whole fame thing. And that really, deeply hit Billy. That blend of modesty with absurd talent gave Hendrix this kind of groundedness that kept his art from getting swallowed by celebrity. Billy took that in his chest, and when he was building his own career, he tried to make sure imagination stayed center stage while ego was kept on a leash. This deep influence inevitably leads us to consider the many myths and stories that swirl around Hendrix's life and career, and what Billy saw firsthand in contrast to these tales. Myths and mysteries surrounding Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix's life and career have been the subject of countless stories, some true, others exaggerated or misunderstood, and Billy Gibbons offers a grounded perspective shaped by direct experience. Some myths paint Hendrix as an untouchable, larger-than-life figure, wrapped in mystery and legend. Billy's time with Hendrix revealed a more nuanced man, combining extraordinary talent with complexity, humility, and real human struggles behind the icon. This reality adds depth to Hendrix's story, often lost in mythology. One common misconception is that Hendrix was endlessly extroverted and flamboyant off stage, given his high-energy performances. Billy counters this by describing Hendrix as shy and reserved, someone who often kept to himself away from the spotlight. This quieter side makes the explosive stage persona even more remarkable, highlighting the deliberate artistry behind the public image. It also softens the idea of Hendrix as an unreachable star and shows him as relatable and approachable. Many stories about Hendrix emphasize wild behavior and excess, but Billy's memories focus on Hendrix's professionalism and focus. Despite pressures and the chaos around him, Hendrix worked hard to perfect his craft, maintain his health, and push his creative limits. Billy's first-hand accounts show a disciplined artist committed to music rather than reckless excess. This challenges reductive narratives that overshadow Hendrix's dedication and intention. Hendrix's innovations are sometimes viewed as lightning strikes of pure genius without grounding. Billy reveals that Hendrix was a student of music and technology, deliberately experimenting and learning to achieve his sounds. His relationship with his gear, effects, and studio work was methodical and inventive, not just spontaneous brilliance. This perspective reframes Hendrix as a thoughtful craftsman, painstakingly shaping his art. There are also rumors about Hendrix's mysterious rise to fame, or the origins of his backing bands. Billy recalls the story of how his own band, the Moving Sidewalks, was pulled unexpectedly into Hendrix's world, highlighting the serendipity and hard work intertwined in Hendrix's ascent. The behind-the-scenes realities of connections, timing, and opportunity paint a fuller portrait of the 1960s music scene beyond overnight success myths. Questions about Hendrix's personality often arise, with some viewing him as aloof or distant. Billy's reflections underscore a warm, genuine man who engaged deeply with fellow musicians and listeners when he felt comfortable. His shy nature didn't prevent him from forming meaningful relationships, and his passion was contagious. This humanizes Hendrix and dispels cold or distant stereotypes. The clarity gained from these truths opens the door to understanding why Billy chose to finally break his silence after Hendrix's passing, and what that means for us all. Billy Gibbons' reflections offer a rare, intimate glimpse into the man behind the music and how Hendrix's genius shaped a generation. These stories remind us of the power of friendship, respect, and innovation in creating lasting legacies. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Hendrix and Gibbons' bond, be sure to like and subscribe for more insightful rock history.